Hello everyone, I'm Meenakshi and I welcome you all to Tathastu. In this video, we are going to discuss about a report which is World Trade Report, and this report was recently published by our World Trade Organization, that is WTO. So we will be learning about the key features, the key highlights of this particular report. So let's start. But before that, these are the courses which are offered by Tathastu ICS for all of you. There is MSLV, which specifically targets your mains examination. Then there is NCERT module, you can register for it. Then we have PSLV, which will be launching very soon. It will target your prelims examination. And then philosophy optional, the batch is starting from today. Now you can also inquire on these numbers. If you have any further doubts, you can call on these numbers, or you can also visit the office on this address. So I hope you have understood this. Let's move forward. Let's start our topic for today, which is about the World Trade Report of 2023, which has been published by our World Trade Organization. So before understanding the report, before learning about the key features of the report, let's have a brief overview about what is World Trade Organization. So World Trade Organization, you can also understand it from a name now. It is related to trade, right? So it is basically an intergovernmental body. The World Trade Organization governs and promotes international trade between various nations, between various countries. So it is an intergovernmental body, and the objective of this World Trade Organization is to promote the international trade between various nations. Now this our World Trade Organization was established after a treaty in 1990. This treaty was known as Marrakesh Agreement or Marrakesh Treaty. It was signed in 1994, and this World Trade Organization, it began operating on January 1, 1995. So this World Trade Organization was established under the Marrakesh Agreement. Now it took the place of, before this World Trade Organization, we had this General Agreement on Trade, on Tariffs and Trade, which was popularly known as GATS, and it was formed in 1948. So this World Trade Organization basically replaced this, and it was established through this Marrakesh Agreement. I hope this much is clear to you about the World Trade Organization as a body. It is intergovernmental body. Now two more important facts about this body. It is the largest international economic organization in the world. It has around 164 members that account for more than 98% of global trade and GDP. So it is considered one of the largest international organization, and additionally it is the only, now this can be an extreme statement, but you have to focus on these statements, these small things, these small facts, that it is the only worldwide international body that deals with international trade regulation, international trade agreement. So this is the only worldwide international body. Which body? World Trade Organization. So this was all about World Trade Organization. What is World Trade Organization? Now let's see about the report which has been published by World Trade Organization. What are the key highlights, key feature of this report? So first of all, let's see the context. In what context we are discussing this. So the context I've already said, it is the World Trade Report of 2023, which have been published by our World Trade Organization. Now it is an annual publication. So this report is published annually by World Trade Organization, and if we have to discuss about what are the aims of this report, it aims to deepen understanding about trends in trade. So what are the various trends in trade in present scenario, because there are a lot of things which are happening around the world. There are these geopolitical tensions, there are a lot of tariffs, import bans, so there are a lot of things which are happening around the world. So this report helps to understand about trends in trade, then the trade policy issues, and then our multilateral trading system. So this is the aim of this report, and it is published by WTO. I've already said it, that it has been published by the World Trade Organization. Now, one of the most important feature of this report, which we will be discussing exhaustively, is re-globalization, this word. So this report, it evaluates how re-globalization can address three major challenges which the global economies are facing today, and those challenges are national and economic security. Yes, every nation strive to have this national security, then this economic security, right? And then second is poverty alleviation. No nation would want that their citizen should be living in this poverty stricken state. So second is poverty alleviation, and third, and one of the most important, this thing which is environmental sustainability. Right now we are experiencing major climate change around us, so how we should adopt those practices which are sustainable to environment. So this report evaluates how re-globalization, this word has been focused majorly in this report, which is re-globalization. So how this re-globalization can address these challenges of the present century, which are our national economic, that every nation should have this national and economic security, this poverty alleviation, and then we have the environmental sustainability. So how re-globalization can address these issues, so let's understand it. Now first, we are now discussing the key features of this report. What are the key trends in this particular report? So number one is changing narratives. How the report addressed the shift in narrative around globalization. So we will be discussing about re-globalization, but what is globalization? Now very simple terms, if we have to understand it, that globalization means linking our domestic economy with the world economy. So this is what globalization means in very simple terms, that linking domestic economy with the world economy. But now we are experiencing change, because see, no nation can develop in isolation. We are interdependent on each other, right? A country would be producing some major things, then that would be exporting. So these exports also increase these trade balances, the financial stability of our country. So globalization basically promotes this economical exchange, this cultural exchanges as well. So globalization also promotes cultural exchange. For example, if a country establishes its office or headquarters in some other country, they would try to adapt the local culture of that place to get successful. So this is how globalization also promotes various things. It promotes cultural exchange, it promotes this interdependence on each other, because in the post 1945 world, if we talk about this post 1945 world, so it was assumed that this international trade, this interdependence on other country can secure this peace, and these nations, no nation would develop in isolation, and everyone can be inclusive in the development. So this is how the post 1945 ideologies were, but now they are changing. They're changing because there are a lot of things which are going on. The globalization, this narrative is changing. You know, there are many countries who are moving towards protectionism. They are placing these import bans on certain things, then the tariffs. So there are a lot of things which are changing about globalization, and we need to rethink that. So this is how this report addressed this issue. Now it also emphasized policy goals beyond trade efficiency, including, now this report discussed that these policy goals, which were once like that 1945 beyond post 1945, it was like this, that this interdependence on each other will help secure peace, will help secure inclusiveness. So this report also says that beyond this trade efficiency, we should include peace peace, security, poverty reduction, poverty alleviation, and this environmental sustainability. And now moving toward this report advocates for re-globalization, expanding trade integration to include more people, more economies, so that everyone grows equally, right? There are certain nations or certain low income countries which have not developed that much, so this report advocates for that re-globalization again, as the countries are moving farther from this globalization process. They are, you know, putting certain bans, import bans on many items. So this report advocates that we need to rethink that we need to move towards re-globalization again. So this is one of the key features. Now moving towards geopolitical shift. Now in the post-COVID world, we have observed lot of changes in these geopolitical ties. So there we have observed there are geopolitical tension. There is Ukraine-Russia war, the US China conflict. There are a lot of things geopolitically which are changing. After in 1970s they were different when globalization was introduced, or when globalization became prominent actually, but now these things are different. So different nations are, you know, adopting different policies. They are inclining more towards the nations that have friendly relation with them rather than those that have rival, that they consider as their rivals. So this report address these geopolitical tensions. For example, the Ukraine conflict and the rise of China have impacted global trade dynamics. So you know how rise of China has impacted this global trade dynamics. You know, many countries are in this debt of China, so China have this influence on their policies, so it is also changing their trade relation, even their bilateral trade relation with the other countries. So these things are changing. And also this COVID-19 pandemic highlighted the importance of resilient supply chains. Supply chains, that means the supply chains which are secure if we experience any unexpected event. So COVID-19 was not expected. Came, then we had the supply chains were disrupted throughout the world, right? There were different supply and demand ratio changed, and this resulted in the disruption of this supply chains. So this is how we should now, there's more study going on that how we should build more resilient supply chain. So this is the second issue this report addresses. Now moving towards the reorientation of trade. So we are experiencing this reorientation of trade. How? The trade flows between hypothetical geo blocks are expanding faster than those between them, showing shift towards friend shoring. So how the trade is reorienting, there is this word which is known as friend shoring. What is this? This is the word which I have just explained, that when a country move towards or establish more relations with the more trade relation with the countries with which they have friendly relation, so they basically ally towards those countries, they form blocks over there, they have these hypothetical allies over there. One such example is how this Biden administration imposed a ban on Chinese technological investment. So one such example is there, that how the countries are changing. There, you know, there are these geopolitical ties are changing, and there are these small blocks which are developing of different nations which they have friendly relation, or we can call it friend shoring. So the trade flows within this hypothetical geopolitical blocks are expanding than those actually exist between them, and it is showing a shift toward friend shoring, that is sharing more relations, having more relation with your friends, with your friendly countries, as trade is gradually aligning along these geopolitical lines. So this is the third key highlight feature of this particular report, which is our World WTO report. Now then we have resilience in trade. So till now we have seen there are different changes which are going on in the world. Still we have resilience in trade. We have seen how how this process friend shoring is taking place. But despite those challenges, bilateral trade between China and United States has reached record highs. So this is also showing that even after having so much conflict, there is still this resilience in trade. If we move towards the next feature, it is about our supply chain. International supply chains played a vital role in responding to supply shortages during COVID-19 pandemic. Although there was these certain disruptions in this supply chain disruption, we need to work a lot towards building these resilient supply chain, but still somehow the international supply chain played a key role, great role in supplying the shortages, in responding to these supply shortages. Now if we move towards sustainability, trade can contribute to sustainability by providing access to green technologies. Yes, it can play. Recently there was this global biofuel alliance. So one of the key features of that alliance was technology transfer. Developed nations are more developed than us, they have these more technologies, they are more advanced, so they can share it. So if we have these trade relations, we can share all these things and we can move towards a sustainable environment where we are using the cleaner fuel, the greener fuel, where we are moving towards these green technologies. So these are some of the key features of this report. Now let's discuss one of the keywords which have been mentioned in this report, which is reglobalization. Now I've already explained what is globalization. It is, in simple words, linking your domestic economy with the world economy, so that you don't grow in isolation. You have different exchanges. You can exchange ideas, you can exchange culture, you can exchange technologies. You have these economies growing. For example, if there is shortage of something over a particular country, you can import it from that nation. Similarly, if there is something, for example, we produce very good spices, so we can export it. So this is what does globalization mean. And now thinking about, because we have discussed it, that there are the geopolitical ties have changed and the countries are moving towards this protectionism more, this placing certain import bans. We have already discussed this. So reglobalization basically is an idea that supports this boosting international commerce, that the countries should move towards this reglobalization process rather than fragmentation. We have discussed friend shoring. We can link it with that rather than moving toward these fragmented small groups, fragmented allied countries, the nations should move towards this reglobalization process that would promote growth of all, that would be inclusive, that will also include the poor, the low and the middle income countries. So rather than moving towards this friend shoring, this fragmentation, the countries should rethink their policies and they should focus on reglobalization. So basically it is an idea that supports boosting international commerce, economic integration, while putting emphasis on making it more equitable, more secure and sustainable. So things we have discussed till now, it is reglobalization is basically that idea that the countries should rethink their policies rather than making these small groups, they should move towards reglobalization. Now it also highlights the requirement for more international collaboration. Yes, more international collaboration is required, because there are still if we talk about these African countries, there are many countries in Africa which still don't have these basic necessities of life. So it highlights the requirement that there should be more international collaboration. There are many developed nations which can contribute in many ways for the development of such countries, for the development of such people. So there is still a requirement for international collaboration and trade integration in order to handle today's global concerns, such as our geopolitical tensions, right? Then we have economic inequalities. We can take example of certain African countries, and then with climate change, so we all are experiencing. So this is why this international collaboration is required in matter of, if we talk about this trade thing. Now what is the benefits? If we talk about, it would lead to economic growth. Yes, we can, and economic growth that is inclusive in nature, so it will lead to this we are talking about the benefits of reglobalization over here. So it will lead to economic growth that is inclusive. We have just seen how it can lead to poverty alleviation. There are many countries which can help these low and middle income countries and help in this poverty alleviation program. Then we can promote this environmental sustainability, yes, technology transfer, helping these countries move towards the low and middle income countries, helping these countries move towards these greener technologies. And then we have emission reduction. Yes, if they will have these greener technologies, they can also contribute towards this emission reduction program. So these are the benefits of reglobalization. Now, what is the role of WTO in it? In the beginning only we have seen that WTO promotes international trade. So WTO can play a vital role, a bridge to promote that international collaboration between various countries. It can address these trade cost disparities, a lot of disparities. Then it can promote economic security and address the global challenges. We have discussed all of these, that how it can promote economic security. There are a lot of things which the developed nations, they can do, and then these nations can also address these global challenges. There are many such organizations which have the power to address the current geopolitical tensions going on in the world. So this is how WTO can further push these countries to take initiative in all these matters. So this was all about this report, and I hope you found it helpful. If you found it helpful, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.